They had not hunted the retreating ships. Instead, they had arrayed themselves in a silent wall, guardians of their resting place. And in that stillness came the final realization. Humans had not simply built fleets. They had built storms and preserved them, sealed in silence, waiting for the day they would be needed. Not for conquest, not for expansion, but for survival. If this was only one arsenal, hidden and forgotten, how many more slumbered in the dark? What vaults lay beneath frozen moons? What hangars beneath shattered planets? How many storms had humanity left behind, waiting for the right silence to break? The galaxy whispered in dread. Because they now understood, humanity was never gone. Humanity had only been waiting. Epilogue: the dreadful question. The Council dared not return to the graveyard. They renamed the sector in their maps, the Forbidden Reach. Merchants steered clear. Explorers avoided the region. Even pirates, bold and desperate, gave it wide berth. Because all knew the same truth: in that place the dead watched. And in every council chamber, every war room, one question repeated in hushed tones. If the Terran graveyard was only one army, how many others wait in silence? The galaxy had lived in comfort, believing humans had burned themselves out. But comfort had shattered. The silence was broken. And somewhere beneath the endless stars, Storm still slept, patient, eternal, waiting for the call. The Council of 12 had always spoken of humans as little more than a footnote in galactic history. In their archives, humanity was a species of noise and fire, rising too fast, burning too bright, then vanishing into silence. Centuries had passed without a signal, without a fleet, without so much as a stray beacon from Earth. Their worlds were marked as extinct or abandoned. To the younger races, humanity was a myth, wild warriors who could not endure the weight of time. To the elder species, humans were a lesson. Progress without patience leads to oblivion. The Council sat in their chamber of glass and starlight, debating resource lines and border treaties, all while dismissing the faint whispers of a people long gone. Humanity was dead, they agreed, and dead species did not trouble the present. But the galaxy is full of ghosts, and some do not stay buried. A signal beneath the silence. It began with a flicker, an anomalous reading on the far edge of mapped space. A spectral pulse, faint and rhythmic, like a heartbeat under centuries of dust. Explorers traced it to a broken star system scarred by old wars. Within its orbit drifted hulks of metal, vast, jagged silhouettes frozen against the void. Thousands of them, scattered across the debris field like bones in a cosmic grave. The scouts returned to the Council, declaring their find, a human graveyard. The chamber erupted in satisfaction, proof at last. Humanity had indeed perished in the fires of their own ambition. Their war machines floated powerless, relics of a species that had burned itself away. Still, the signals troubled some. Why would a grave emit rhythm? Why would ruins whisper with coded pulses? The Council dismissed it as mechanical decay, automatic beacons still clinging to broken power cells. And yet the whispers grew louder. The graveyard that watched back. When the Council dispatched a research flotilla, its ships glided between the wrecks with care. The vessels were enormous, war hulks of an ancient make, armored like planets, their guns silent but terrible even in stillness. The flotilla reported with awe, thousands of human warships, not random wreckage but formations, rows upon rows of silent giants. They were arranged with order, as if still awaiting commands. Their hulls bore names in old Terran script, unreadable to most but chilling in tone. Eternal Resolve, Iron Tide, Vengeance of Earth, Nightfall. Names meant not for exploration but for war. One captain swore he saw a faint glow ripple along the plating of a cruiser, like embers stirring beneath ash. His warning was ignored. "This is a museum of extinction," the council declared, "nothing more." But when they tried to scan deeper, their instruments screamed. Codes interlaced their systems, encrypted signals flooding through the void. The flotilla's ships flickered, their power strained, their screens flashing with ancient glyphs. Terran Naval Command active. It was then that fear first crept into the chamber of the council. Engines of the dead. What had seemed lifeless began to stir. One by one, the warships lit their cores. The void bloomed with cold fire as ancient fusion engines roared back to life, casting blue-white light across the graveyard. The silence was broken by the hum of reactors that had slept for centuries. A formation shifted, then another. Rows of warships turned with synchronized precision, aligning as though obeying a silent conductor. The council flotilla panicked. Orders screamed across channels, "Retreat, retreat, retreat." But the human fleet moved like a tide, surrounding the intruders with a discipline no ruin should have. Still, the alien vessels fired, their weapons flashing across the darkness. The blast struck human hulls and burned away like sparks on an anvil. The old armor absorbed everything, unshaken. Then came the reply. Terran cannons, quiet for centuries, opened their mouths. Beams of coherent light, mass driver slugs the size of buildings, missile bays vomiting storms of fire. The flotilla didn't survive long enough to scream. The graveyard was not a grave, it was a garrison. The return of Terran doctrine. News tore across the galaxy like wildfire. Reports claimed an armada had risen from death itself. Human ships, untouched by time, moved with impossible unity. Their systems responded to codes no species could crack. Their tactics outmaneuvered entire navies as though rehearsed for this very moment. The Council's fleets gathered to contain the threat, confident in their modern strength. They brought carriers, dreadnoughts, swarms of interceptors. They had numbers, speed, technology refined by centuries of war. But when they met the Terran armada, history repeated itself. The humans fought with doctrine carved into their bones, overwhelming firepower, relentless formation warfare, and a refusal to retreat. Their ships were slower, older, but their armor was impervious and their gunnery exact. Every council maneuver had already been anticipated, countered, undone. It was not just ships that fought. It was a culture of war itself, preserved in steel and code. The galaxy watched in horror as fleets crumbled before vessels that should have been dust. The storm kept in silence. Panic swept through civilizations. If this was only one fleet, what else had humanity left behind? Whispers spread of hidden shipyards under dead moons, caches of weapons buried in asteroid belts, entire armies sleeping beneath the crust of forgotten worlds. Humanity had not died. Humanity had prepared. Every archive once dismissed as myth was reopened. Every tale of Terran defiance was reread with new eyes. Scholars spoke of an ancient Terran phrase, si vis pacem, para bellum. If you seek peace, prepare for war. Perhaps extinction had never come. Perhaps the silence was only waiting. Shadows over the galaxy. The council chamber no longer spoke of humans as extinct. They spoke of them as inevitable. Civilizations began to fortify their borders, to cloak their fleets, to whisper prayers to gods they had abandoned. None dared venture near the graveyard again. The name Terran became a shadow, invoked in fear, in reverence, in dread. For the galaxy now understood, humans did not build fleets as others did. They built storms. They preserved them in silence, sleeping arsenals awaiting the hour of need. And when the graveyard stirred, the galaxy learned the truth. It was never a grave. It was an army waiting to wake.